The next effect I'd like to create is when we pick up that grab cube, I've called it, the green cube that will ultimately be the key for our socket interactor that lets us out of this escape room. When we're holding it, I'd like it to sound magical, for want of a better word, to kind of imply to the player like this does something, it has some power. So I've got this twinkly magic sound that I want to run all the while we're holding this object, and I want it to stop when I'm not holding it. So to sort of like, if I decide to just put it down because I'm bored with it, it'll maybe suggest to the player like, oh, that was a mistake. This was good when you were holding this thing, because the sound was happening. How we do that using the XR interaction toolkit is in the list of interactable events inside this cube, the grab cube object, I'm going to go down to select entered. And what select refers to is the grab button. So while this thing is being grabbed, not the trigger button, which is activate. So if you want the trigger to do something, you do that under activate. If you want the grab to do something, you do that under select. So I'm going to add something to the select entered. So this is when we start selecting. What I'm going to add is I want this object that we have, this grab cube, to have an audio source on it that will play. So once again, same trick as before. I can either drag my sound, which is called magic glitter, down into the empty space by add component, or just so you're aware, you can also add component and find an audio source, which is just the same thing, except that it doesn't have a clip attached to it now. So if you add a blank audio source, then you just drag the clip to this part where it says audio clip. So either way, in this case, once again, we do not want to play on awake because we're going to play this by our select, by our grab. But I do think I want this to loop because I've made this sound loop in my audio editor in advance, because as long as I'm holding it, I want it to continue playing. So so this is a looping piece of audio. It's meant to loop, and I'm gonna check loop. I'm gonna turn down the volume because I happen to know that it's kind of a loud sound, and I don't want it completely overtaking our experience. And in this case, once again, I want to turn spatial blend all the way to 3D, because this is a moving object. Even more so than the button, this is gonna be very apparent that it's like a three-dimensional object that could be in front or behind or to the left or to the right of you. So I want that to be modeled by having the spatial turned all the way up to 3D. Okay, so now that we've got an audio source on this, we can drag grab cube into the select entered, go to audio source, and play. And so what this will do if we just ran the game now is when we select the object, it'll start playing the audio source, but it's just going to keep playing it. So even when we let go of the object, it will continue to play. And I'd like it to stop when we let go. So that's what select exited is for. So right below this one, we're going to add one on select exit. Same exact process, grab cube is the object, audio source is the function, and then in this case we're going to choose stop. So now our game works like this. We walk in, we hear our two sounds, we click the button, hear the click, and now I've got my twinkle. And if it's on the right side, I hear it out of the right. If it's on the left side, I hear it out of the left. And so on and so forth. And then when we let go, it stops. And then when we pick it back up, it starts. And then when we let go, it stops.